Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. What a week 2. Some crazy matchups, some crazy low scores, some crazy high scores. It was a great week overall. So, with us today, we got Robinson and Doughboy.
All right. The original.
The Eric fell off the face of the earth and decided to go on vacation.
Yeah. This is,
I thought Eric was under investigation. Don't we have him suspended now for a few pods until he clears a lot of his legal action for roster-baiting the other day?
Public rosterbation. Yeah.
Public rosterbation in a Hilti truck of all things. So it's
then going 0-2 on top of that.
Ouch, dude. But this is the original pod, right? This is the original cast. This is like pepperoni pizza. It doesn't get better than this, Eric on there was like ham and pineapple,
He's a Hawaiian pizza.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the week 2 reviews.
Oh yeah, everyone! Week 2 reviews. We had Josh versus Mushkin. All right, let's go. Reality check, Steven. You're not a savant. Allen was a great pickup, but Brady's just better. And Josh showed you he didn't have to trade the fucking house to get a solid running back tandem. Ingram underwhelms and so does slippity-doo-dah fumbler Chris Carson. Who cares if Josh's kicker didn't show up? It's a win! 105.8 to 93.4. And Steven, let me remind you, you are not a savant. Next!
George versus Ryan. George takes this 127.8 to 125. Here, the EBDB TDB&B gets the better of the reigning champ in a Monday night high-scoring affair. Ryan needed Odell Beckham Jr. to put up 28 points to take this game from George in a Monday night that he would cry about. And he almost did just that. An impressive 25.1 points from ODB kept George sweating until the clock went double zeros. But George's more balanced attack wins the day, and both the teams are now knotted up at 1-1.
Next up, we have Eminem versus Carlson. Carlson won. Who cares? Moving on.
Yeah. Snooze.
That sucks. All right, everyone. I got Robinson versus Justin. All right, I'll just keep updating my bad picks from last week, and here Justin is who we thought he was. Not like the team that was helping him out, but, Njoku just laid an egg, and so did D-Jax. Gone on primetime games. Justin had it all lined up, and in typical fashion, just went astray. Dalvin Cook is a monster commish and will continue to be, and that's the locket that the commish wants out there. Solid victory, solid plays, and solid game management. Just solid! Moving on!
Next, we have No Stay versus Kevin. Losing Breeze lost No Stay this game. But let's not take this victory away from Kevin. After a bad showing last week, Kevin made the right moves and managed his team to his first victory of the year.
Up next, Ben versus Eric. Ben takes this 118.6 to 111.1. Ouchie, Baker the TD maker got taken to culinary school by our resident chef, Ben. Another high-scoring affair, but this loss ultimately comes down to these teams' QBs and RB1s. Ben's combo of Saquon Barkley and I don't remember who else scored 48.8, while Eric's lowly combo only put up 22.9. Devonta Freeman struggles. There's the story of the loss right there, gentlemen. Ben moves to 2-0 and number 1 overall seed with 2 impressive week point totals. Eric drops to 0-2 and is starting to look for his panic button. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Major underdog. This was the Doughboy versus Nieves. Wins 87.6 to 73.9. All week I debated whether to go Edelman or Ridley, and the solid play was Ridley on a Sunday night. I told the league last week on the show that Nieves would botch the play calling and instead took a receiver walk-in on the road after a big game who would get keyed on instead of Galladay at home. Guess who won? And guess who's got real estate in that man's head? The Doughboy. Matt Ryan is greater than Carson Wentz, and Ridley was greater than Alshon Jeffrey. Mr. I got a bad quad. That was the play. Donos, and the Doughboy is 2-0.
Wow. 2 weeks in, guys. This is like when people are starting to separate from the pack. Some of the turds are starting to fall to the bottom of the bowl. people are just starting to be depressed week in and week out. This is good. This is good football.
Yeah, the draft seems so distant from here. It just it was years ago from where we stand now.
Yeah, best laid plans have gone awry.
I still can't forget sitting on the couch and Nosta and Ryan telling me that my team looks like Nosta's from last year. What the fuck's 0-2, huh?
Oh, you mean 2-0?
No, isn't Nosta 0-2? Isn't Nosta 0-2?
Oh, I thought you were talking about yourself.
I think he's 1-1.
I don't always talk about myself, but when I do, I talk about wins.
Yeah, he's 1-1. Come on, Doc.
He's 0-2.
He's 1-1.
He's 0-2.
Nosta is 0-2, I think.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Nieves.
No, Nieves
No, I'm
is
talking
1-1.
about Nosta. I was talking to Nosta and Ryan on the couch.
Yeah.
I just fucking smoked a fat doobie, and I'm also confusing the Dannies. So we're gonna see how this goes.
Too many Dannies, too many Matts, only one Doughboy.
Fun fact of the season: Duval has yet to score 100 points, and he's still 2-0.
Oh yeah. It's all
Love
about
it.
defense, baby.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Doval. 2-0 with the second to last most points scored.
Commish, we just in people's heads. We do this show to get in your head.
Absolutely, it's a weapon. Man.
Mind game.
Moving on, we have the waiver wire picks of the week. This segment is brought to you by Nostonomics. It's not just for fantasy football, I swear. So first up, we have the worst picks of the week. So why don't you guys go ahead?
Okay, I'm going to say it is you, Matt Martin.
Yep, 2 weeks in a row.
Deebo Samuels for 21 big ones. I mean, I'm not saying Deebo Samuels is bad or anything like that. I mean, he's a good prospect, but it's a really big overpay considering the next highest waiver was $11 for him. And yes, okay, you needed a spot start this week. I understand that. But, personally, I think Aguilar you could have had much cheaper because I only put $13 in, and who is considered amongst the industry significantly higher to the tune of a top 60 player this week versus a top 100 player with Deebo Samuel. So I feel it was mainly the whole reason I went after him was to kind of try and block you. Obviously, you're not interested, but I think that's why Deebo was the worst pickup of the week.
It's a good point, but a man called Deebo, you just got to say that's a good pickup, right? I don't care how much you pay up, but Deebo.
Dealt name. Dealt.
I know what Eminem was doing there. So, yeah, Deebo, great name, but you know what? Just Ben. I didn't like the Jalen Samuels pickup. I think he was jumping the gun. He spent 7 fab there on a player when Connor, we all found out right before the waivers that Connor wasn't hurt and he would, and he would continue to produce. I just think that Jalen Samuels is one of those players when you look at who he dropped, Balaj. I don't know what the hell the Dolphins are going to do with Balaj. Granted, I would think he is the goal line back because of the size that he has in the frame to drive and actually just fall forward and score a touchdown. But when the Dolphins get there, we'll find out what they're doing. But it just seemed like there was more upside with Balaj than with Jalen Samuels. And then Jalen Samuels is kind of he's there if Connor gets hurt, but really Connor's going to get all 30 carries. And just a waste of fab in my opinion. So I got Jalen Samuels from Ben as the worst pickup of week.
I don't know, man. I think you might have needed Jalen Samuels personally.
Nah, man. I don't go for backups.
Okay. Yeah, well, I didn't really have a bad pick for the week. I don't really think there was one that really stood out over the others. I mean, you can make the argument for Deebo because of the price versus the player, but it's just another week where players weren't really there to pick. Except for DeMarcus Robinson. Gonna kind of be curious to see how much he goes for tonight. But
that's a good point there, Eminem. I looked at all the waiver wire picks and I was like, that's good. And I guess I'm just segueing.
Nitpicking.
It's more of I would have nitpicked, and at this point it's I think the league is doing such a good job with the waiver wires that you can't really say that there was one pick that was really bad already.
Except for the last 2 weeks where we had Ty Montgomery for $30, and then the 3 waiver mavens for 20.
We always have a week 1 knee jerk reaction. I mean, granted, we didn't have 100 fab on Philip Lindsay this year, but we've had week 1 knee jerk reaction.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. All right, so moving on to the best pick. I think everybody had the same pick here except for me. So, what'd you guys go with?
Packers B. Yeah, there we go, Commish.
Packer D.
I thought George did a good job. It's they've put some investment on that side of the ball there in Green Bay, and it's showing. They played out in Chicago and shut down a great team, and then they went back home and shut down another great team in the Vikings. So that defense is here to stay, and I understand the price tag was up there at 7. Typically, defenses run 3 to 5. I think in our league. So I would say that 7 was too much, but it's a great defense. And you know what? I just want to, because of the fact that I said that there was a lot of good picks out there this week, I'm going to say option B was Jamal Williams again for me. I thought that was another good pickup for Fab, and a little C there for Nosta just for some advertising on this segment. Jimmy G. I love Jimmy G. He's going back home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Yep. And he should do some work out there in San Fran on that lowly pit defense.
Yeah, George, $7 for the D, outbid me by $1. I think there was a lot of bids for Packers D. Great streaming option, and is probably going to make the difference for him this week when you want to try and buy wins every week that you can. And yeah, right, it's expensive for a defense, but if it was like, if you get this defense, you win, you'd be like, yeah, 7 fab, absolutely. And I think the Packers are that caliber of defense this week, especially against Denver. Denver's not good.
No.
Nope.
They're not.
I went with Devin Smith actually for $2. I think with Gallup going down, and then I think the team that actually picked Devin Smith is the same team that has Gallup, so it's just a plug-in for them. And then, but yeah, and then I also went with Debo because I needed to defend myself because Debo is definitely not top 100. He's top 50. He's actually number 50, which is only 8 spots away from Aguilar.
No, I don't think that's right because I just looked it up.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. If you want, I can screenshot it to you.
Yeah, we'll send it
right now.
Here. I'm going to do it right now while we're live. So,
all right, let's go.
Let's go.
I mean, to the next segment. I don't care about the thing. I just looked it up.
I do.
I mean, I'm looking at Debo Samuel on flex rankings. He's at 94 right now. So I don't know.
Flex. I'm looking at wide receivers.
Well, that's not what I said. I said he is a top 100 player.
All right. So next up, we have the week 3 previews. First matchup, we have Kevin versus George. I got George winning this one. His team is looking rock solid. What do you guys have?
I can go first. I got George. I mean, George's team is 1-1. However, I think it's one of the best teams in the league right now. Just top to bottom, it looks good. You know, he's got some of the highest flying, probably the best running back tandem in the league. Maybe mine, maybe his, but Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott are just great. And Ezekiel's going up against Miami. You can't ask for a better fucking matchup than that. However, I don't want to sell Kevin's team short because right now he's projected 87.3, which is horrible. But he doesn't have a flex in. And Kevin desperately needs Damian Williams to play this week because otherwise he's starting Marvin Jones. And from a team that's slightly outmatched, I think that if he gets Damian Williams in there in the flex, that it can really even things up. Matt Breida as his running back too that's a solid running back too with Tevin Coleman out. He can get lucky there. And Todd Gurley is always just waiting to go off. And then between his receivers of Antonio Brown, who seems like he's going to play this week, and Marquise Brown, who got 13 targets, I don't know. Kevin's team has a lot of punching power. It's hanging on by a thread, obviously, because if he gets a suspension for Antonio Brown, he's fucked. If Marquise Brown comes back down to earth, isn't good, and if Tevin Coleman comes back, or there's a huge running back by committee, it can all fuck Matt Breida up. But I feel like his team's on the up and up. That said, George just has superior firepower. The Packers D over the Jags D, which the Jags D might end up being a good play, but the Titans, I think, win the game. And so, it's not terrible, but it's not great. And then George's weakest position is flex in Chris Thompson, but that's a stabilizing position for him. Chris Thompson's going to get work, especially, the problem is they're playing Chicago, but he's going to get work. He's been good for 8 or 9 points, and that's all George really needs to win this game, I think. So, George.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Kamish. I mean, George does have a damn good team. I love his running back tandem. His quarterback, Jared Goff, seems to be the guy that they're going to carry, or that they're going to rely upon for the whole season, because On the other side of Kevin's team's Todd Gurley, I mean, what the Rams are doing with him is just preservation. If you watch that game against the Saints, they are bringing Gurley in for a series and then another series. They're just rotating him. They're just keeping him on a pitch count. And Jared Goff is the man of that offense, and he pairs him up with Cooper Kupp. George does, and Derrick Henry gets to face the team that he put on probably the second best run of this decade, probably behind Marshawn Lynch when he took off for 99 yards, just barreling all the Jags defensive players. Granted, it was at the end of the season, the Jags defense gave up. But that defense also is looking pretty bad already 2 weeks in. I mean, with Jalen Ramsey trying to call out. And Vance McDonald, where the tight end there was kind of sketchy week one, where Big Ben didn't feature him. Vance McDonald lit it up with Mason Rudolph, right? Mason Rudolph came in, and what does a young quarterback do? Rely on that big target, and Vance McDonald is a damn big target. So best thing about Kevin's team, and I love it, is my two Miami boys, Antonio Brown and Marquise Brown. Actually, that's Miami Broward connection, even though that's his nephew. Marquise Brown went to Hollywood, Chaminade, and then Antonio Brown went to Miami Norland. It's a good 1-2 tandem, Kev. I love it. It's got nothing but swag, but your best player, Rodgers, is played. I mean, well, I think they're going to win. The Packers are. He's facing probably the best pass rush since he's seen in week one. And then week one, Khalil Mack and Leonard Ford gave him a headache there in Chicago. And now he gets to get Chubb and Von Miller. So I don't see much production coming out of Kevin's team in order to stop George and the powerhouse that he's bringing there with his 1-2 backs. And that
the story of Kevin's team, I don't necessarily think he's lucky to be 1-1, but he's taken some fucking shots. Not having Antonio Brown week one, Duke Johnson was a big swing and a miss because he took him third overall, and Duke Johnson is just not worth that pick right now. I mean, maybe he turns into it. He's still the back you probably want to own there, but it's not looking good. And then Damian Williams just totally fell apart in like the 2 weeks leading up to the draft. What with, the LaShawn McCoy trade, the hammy, Darwin Thompson news, and then he also lost Hunter Henry. So this team, I think he's done a pretty good job of filling in those holes. So we'll see if that holds true. But still, George wins because George's team's better.
George. We did it last time and he won, guys. We got to do it again.
Yeah. Well, Eric went with George, and that's a sweep. I think we swept Ryan last time too with
George.
So hopefully that brings George good luck. Yeah.
The EBDB, TDB, and B.
So next matchup is Justin versus Mushkin. This is pretty simple. Mushkin's going 0-3.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, again, Mushkin, like I called out early on the reviews, he kind of went out there and sacrificed, his team for three running backs that seem to not, while they control the offense, they've kind of like Ingram's gets pulled out sometimes. Carson had his fumbling issues. I mean, he's always had fumbling issues because of how physical he runs. Greg Olsen showed life, but yeah, Justin right now brings a good Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins connection there. His matchups look good. Mike Williams is healthy. He had a solid pickup getting Will Dissly there to kind of cover up a hole that he had with Njoku, and he had Higbee get hurt for him. The Patriots defense is great going up against the Jets. I mean, granted, we knew they were going to do good against the Dolphins, but I mean, they had 2 touchdowns to run back, and that Patriots defense has been stellar the last 8 games. So yeah, I do see this one could be close, but at the end of the day, Justin just has a well-rounded team, while Christian Kirk and A-Rob for Mushkin just don't convince me. They just don't convince me, and I don't see that they're going to be able to put up points on their primetime games. If they do, that's the only thing that gives Mushkin any help. But other than that, Justin has a top to bottom solid team, and the Texans will get into a shootout with the Chargers out there and out west.
Look, I went with Justin too, but this might have been the game that I took the longest to decide. I think it's actually really, really close. Justin's team has a lot of cracks starting to form. Tyrell Williams has a hip pointer, and they're playing at Minnesota, which that's a good good defense, even though their secondary has been getting cut up. But a hit pointer really limits your ability to move, and he's the de facto number one there. He's going to get blanketed. I don't know if and plus Derek Carr doesn't throw it deep, so Tyrell Williams could have an issue. And then Marlon Mack, he didn't practice today, which many people don't practice on Wednesday. But at the end of the game, he showed that his leg was wrapped up. So this can turn south very quickly for Justin if Marlon Mack isn't playing, because there is absolutely no room for error. Justin's bench has Darius Geis IR. In the IR spot, he has Melvin Gordon, who's out. He's got Deshaun Jackson, who's doubtful, and David Njoku, who's out. And then his fourth and fifth picks are the 49ers D, can't start as a player, and Malcolm Brown, who you'll have to be forced to drop a defense and just pick up some waiver thing. I mean, he made adjustments by putting Will Disley in the tight end, but you need to have a backup plan and get one fast, or else you're going to be left with, who knows? Maybe he's going big on Demarcus Robinson tonight, but I don't know. Ultimately, I still went with Justin because I think his team has the most upside. The combination of Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins at LA, the Chargers was supposed to be a shootout. We've seen that they can go off for 50 points just by themselves. And now he has the Patriots D against a third string quarterback and against the Jets. It's like the Pats D might put up another 35 points. That upside is ultimately what decided it for me. Mushkin's team, like I said, isn't bad. He fixed his QB issue by getting Josh Allen, because Trubisky was so bad he was already searching. Unfortunately for me, I had still believed in Cam Newton when Josh Allen was a option for me, and I missed that boat. But Allen Robinson and Christian Kirk don't look good, but those guys have been good for like around 9 to 13 points each a week, and they've been very consistent. So his team really depends on his running backs to come up and like hit home runs, but the wide receivers will hold it down, I think. And his tight end is looking on the up in Greg Olsen. So overall, I think Mushkin's team is pretty complete. Justin's is just has way too much boom potential. Justin takes it. This sends Mushkin to 0-3. And if Mushkin's at 0-3, regardless of how he's scoring, we can count on him to start shopping for keepers and put together one of the worst teams in league history, I can imagine.
Oh, for sure. And you know what, Commish? I got to commend you looking at that bench stash, because I just have to ask myself, Justin, what the fuck are you doing holding the 49ers defense on your bench? Like, what are you doing?
I agree. I don't know. I think he's looking 7 weeks in ahead.
Like, even then, like, what is Solomon Thomas like the greatest D lineman that now we have to all like bow to him? Is that defense like supposed to be great? I don't know.
I have no idea, because in between now and the bye, only until week 9, maybe you would bench the Patriots at Baltimore.
Agreed. The Patriots is one that you play the entire year, and they've shown it and they've earned it. So,
and as somebody who needed like the 49ers this week, I'm like, nah. Oh, dude, it's definitely, I don't know. Maybe it's week 9, because even week 10, the 49ers don't have that good a matchup. It's against Seattle.
Dream of, I don't know, whatever. That's a good lookout, because now I'm just,
I don't know.
This is the Justin that we all know and love. Because
I don't know what the beautiful mind is working on over there, but I don't know.
You said that
he's not even playing defense for Steven, because he's got Bills D against Cincinnati, which is solid as fuck.
I missed everything you said after you said that he has the 49ers on the bench, because I looked at it and I go, what the fuck is that roster looking like? Like, what the hell is that? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
But 2-1, he goes 2-1, sending Mushkin to 0-3.
Well, that's another sweep, because Eric Whitman, Justin. So hopefully he wins. Next up is Eric versus Josh. This is actually another sweep, because actually Eric went with Josh himself too. So that's pretty funny. So this is another team that has the potential to go 0-3. Yeah, so
this might be the biggest blowout of the week.
Ooh.
Eric's team is super undermanned. Like, he took his shots at the draft, which I thought were great. He has the number 1 running back in the league right now with Austin Eckler that he went with the 3rd round. I mean, that's looking genius. But he was thin already. He really needed Devin Singletary to step up, and Devin Singletary got hurt. And so did Michael Gallup, who was somebody that he hit a home run on. So 2 injuries on a team that's already thin, it's not going to cut it. And then the remaining pieces that are healthy, Devonta Freeman is largely, and Baker Mayfield are largely the reason he's lost both weeks in a row. because his point output hasn't been terrible. It's Devonta Freeman hasn't been able to get over double digits, and Baker Mayfield's top scoring output was 16 points. It's not been as advertised. So having those guys who I don't really expect them to bounce back. Baker's going to be playing against the Rams. He's going to get his dick knocked in the dirt. And Devonta Freeman is at Indianapolis, so he hasn't been able to produce in any other sort of matchup. So I'll kind of see it. I'll wait to see it before I believe it. So I don't even need to talk about Josh's team really much, but he has one of the best teams in the league. I really feel like Eric should have been more aggressive on the waiver wire this week as a team that like he has Singletary slotted into his flex right now because he really doesn't have another option. Because on his bench, he's got Sutton, Rex Burkhead, and TJ Yeldon, and then Kareem Hunt, who's suspended. So I'm holding out hope here that he's probably got a big ass waiver claim in for Demarcus Robinson because he needs someone to start, which will definitely help him. But if not, I don't know why he didn't go out and get Aguilar or Samuel or one of these guys because he desperately needs it. Josh, on the other hand, is a front runner to be one of the best teams in the league. Tom Brady lighting it up. Le'Veon Bell is getting it more work than he probably did with the Steelers. Nick Chubb bounced back in a good way. He's very heavily involved in the offense. Probably top side, low end running back 1, running back 2, since he's not getting a lot of passing work. And then Emmanuel Sanders, like, wow, what a great fucking draft pick. Guess Achilles injuries aren't that bad. This guy is the true Denver wide receiver 1, even though Eric probably went with the smarter pick in Cortland Sutton. Nah, Sanders is Sanders. He looks like all out wide receiver 1 for Denver. Chris Godwin is doing
so
great,
good.
and Stephon Diggs in the flex. That's probably one of the best flexes in the league. And he's got a bounty of good players. John Brown, what a great pick in the 8th. And then he doesn't even have to play Josh Gordon right now because of all these wide receivers he's got. This team it's got depth and it's got power. It's a good team.
Yeah, and is it time for Eric to just move on from the Baker experiment? I mean, it's time that he starts to actually, and like you said, Commission, it was time that he needed to look at maybe the waiver a week before and kind of plan ahead of having to deal with Baker year long. But these are times that you just need to better manage your team. And granted, Eric is 0-2 with Austin Eckler's best games. And any day now, Melvin Gordon could come back, and that's it. This team is dumpster fire. Eric's team, yes, is struggling. Losing Michael Gallup, I thought Michael Gallup was a great pick, but the team is looking rough. While if you look at Josh's team, it is stacked, granted from Stephon Diggs being a great flex and seeing what that bench has. I didn't think Le'Veon Bell also in New York would get that much love. I mean, we saw what Adam Gase was as a coach down here, and he hardly ever featured the running back. And now with Le'Veon, he gave him over 30 touches. At least he's continuously giving him over 30 touches and will do that. Tom Brady's a great captain for Josh's team, and he's going to be consistent, doesn't throw any interceptions, gets in the end zone at least 2 times a game. And that team is just going to kind of go through the motion this week and come up with a win. That's my feeling. He's got the Cowboys defense going up against Miami, which is going to be amazing. I don't know what New Orleans is going to do with Teddy Bridgewater, but it could be a surprise. And the Seahawks defense hasn't proven to be lights out. So yeah, just Eric's got a lot of holes. While if you look right at the other side and you look at Josh's lineup, it is stacked. And I love the Chris Godwin play. I know you talked about Emmanuel Sanders, so I'll talk up a little bit about Chris Godwin for Josh. Chris Godwin is a workaholic. His wife is like a personal trainer. I mean, you all remember the Hard Knocks a few years ago. I think it was 2 years ago or 3. And Chris Godwin was a young receiver out of Penn State. And the guy is just a workout machine. And he's showing it. He's been consistent in that offense. And he's reliable for Jameis Winston. And will continue to do so. So it was a great pick with those 2 wideouts. I mean, when you've got Le'Veon Bell and Nick Chubb as your top 2 backs, you've got to hit on receiver. And Josh not only hit on 2 receivers like that later on in the draft, he also hit on Diggs, and he's got Josh Gordon. Depth is great for this man on the wideout position, and his running backs are solid. So Josh wins this one quite easily, I would say.
I mean, just like a one sentence, like to encapsulate this matchup and the disparity between the powers and the team's relative power. It's 2 players on Josh's bench right now, and Josh Gordon and John Brown would immediately start for Eric's team at wide receiver 2 and flex. So if Eric comes out with a win here, I'd be shocked. He'll be 0-3. I don't know if Eric will have the fight to keep it going, or if he's going to pull a Mushkin. The Devonta Freeman pick for him as his second overall pick is really fucking him right now.
I really hate this this new ESPN fantasy. It's like when I go to like the basic overview of the matchup, it doesn't even show me the benches anymore. I have to go to like the full box score.
Yeah,
like
no,
just
it's
to compare.
awful. The
It's
only way
fucking retarded.
it's like when I move players, it doesn't update the name or the picture. It gets like confused. It's terrible. I don't know how
Dude, like
badly they could implement it. It's
I'm not
dog
even
shit.
joking. I'm not even joking. Like that $16 bid wasn't a $16 bid. I made both changes one right after another, and I did it during work. I specifically remember doing it. Like, so it didn't even save like one of my updated bids. Like that could have cost me a player. Probably could have cost somebody else a player in the league this week. Demarcus Robinson not being saved as a waiver wire was able to be picked up. It's a free agent. Sorry, just moving on to the next match. It's Carlson versus
Fuck you,
Ryan.
ESPN.
It's just like it's so bad. It's just like
your platform sucks.
Yeah,
your,
dude.
your
And I'm not
shows
playing
suck. Matthew Berry, TJ Yates, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You got to listen to this pod.
It's just
Let
like
us
Yahoo's
develop
just
your
so much
platform.
better. So Yahoo's just so much better at this point. It's just retarded. It's retarded. All right. So Carlson versus Ryan. This is probably one of the closest matchups of the week, and this one is split down the middle. And I got Carlson. He just beat me. I think his team is looking all right. I think he's made a lot of waiver wire moves. And he's picked up some good players along the way. Who do you guys have?
Yeah, well, I look.
Sorry,
Commish. Let me jump on this one because I love Ryan's name. It says Death Taxes and Frank Gore. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this guy's in trouble. But then I saw what Carlson has. He's got Peyton the Barbarian, and that doesn't also excite me too much. These are running backs in a timeshare. Joe Mixon's a little banged up, so Ryan has Patrick fucking Mahomes. So you got to kind of always account for that. And I love that player, but he's playing Baltimore at home. And granted, that game was great last year and he did a good job. That's where he had his famous no look pass. And I'm pretty sure Baltimore has remembered that. And on the other side, you got Carlson bringing Lamar Jackson, one of the young, exciting quarterbacks who can do it both with his arm and his legs. Probably the best quarterback at that since Mike Vick, my opinion. Just my opinion. Fuck RG3 and Cam Newton and what they've done since. Lamar Jackson does have that upside. And like Eminem, you said it, this is a very close game. And when you look at the roster, you're just like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, even. Good matchups, right? Adam Thielen, Odell Beckham, pretty even right there too, even though ODB is probably slightly a better. And you're like John Ross, T.Y. Hilton. Okay, good, fast, receivers. John Ross finally is showing that he is somebody in that offense. And then this is my big difference maker, right? Because the defense is on the road. It's Travis Kelce. And that's what I just think just nudged this a little bit to Carlson's favor. And for me, I just think Travis Kelce doing that kind of work and having Patrick Mahomes to feed him points from Ryan's team, when you're looking at a matchup like this that is close from two good owners, this tips the scale a little bit for me on Carlson's end, and it's Travis Kelce for me. That's my game changer in this matchup.
That's your grinder, huh?
That's my grinder. That's the guy that's going to actually tip the scale in Carlson's favor.
I disagree. I'm going with the reigning champ here. Once again, very close game, as everyone has said so far. I echo that sentiment. I think it's going to be really close. I think there's only a handful of differences between the matchups here in this team, and I'm going to tell you what they are right now. Okay, Mike Evans. I think he finally bounces back against the Giants. They're terrible, and he's due for a game. Peyton Barber. Oh yeah, 20 fucking carries. Where did you get those 20 carries, Carlson? On your fucking bench. As somebody who owned Peyton Barber last year, anytime you move him into your starting lineup, he will have a bad game. So I'm predicting that Ronald Jones has 12 to 14 carries and Peyton Barber has 3 to 4. And this just turns into like, oh, flip-flop, flippity-flop, snip-snap. Finally, I think one of the biggest things here is the Broncos defense. Broncos defense is going to Green Bay. That is not a good defense start. there's not a single fantasy expert out there that's going to tell you that this is a top 14 defense. Whereas the Bears D, we're looking at with Ryan, what he has is that's like a top 5 deep play this week. Washington has been able to move the ball, but they've run into nothing like the Bears defense. And that's really the difference there. The closely matched teams, I think the defense changes things. I think Mike Evans explodes, and I think Peyton Barber flames out.
So let's spotlight this weekend. Travis Kelce versus Austin Hooper and Broncos D versus Bears D. That's going to be the difference maker in this matchup, according to the pod. So let's see how those performances play out.
This is like one of the first games we're actually kind of divided on.
I know.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
The first 3 picks were all a sweep. This is the first one that was 50-50. And Eric went with Ryan. He's on Robinson's side here.
Ooh.
So next matchup, we have the battles of the end. It's Nieves versus Nostes. Again, this is another 50-50 split. It's I got Nieves winning this one. I think he bounces back. I think it's just again, it's just another one of those close games. But let's see what happens.
All right, I'll go first here. Yeah, I'm going to go with Nieves. This is a close game, just like the last. This one also took me a while to pick. Ultimately, Nieves takes the mail. For a handful of reasons, it's mainly negatives with Noste than it is positives with Nieves because he took a lot of shots last week too. Noste, the news today on Matt LaFleur talking about Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. I didn't like that at all. He's like, we got to get Jamal Williams more carries. This might just be total horseshit, because sometimes that's how coaches are. But if it's not, that's a big hit for him because Aaron Jones played like shit when he split carries with Jamal Williams, and he played well when he got 20 carries. So I don't like that. Also, Noste, I don't think he has a serviceable flex. I mentioned earlier how the Jets are going to be playing with a third string QB against what is arguably the number 1 defense in the league. I don't think Jamison Crowder, you've never seen, like, the whole reason about using Jamison Crowder was because how heavily he was being targeted by Sam Darnold. We don't know whoever Joe Schmo, Falk, I don't know who the fuck this guy's name is, who will throw to at all. So I think that this is another team that I think should have been a little more aggressive on the waiver wire and picked up one of these 3 receivers that would have been, I think, a much better start than Crowder. That's kind of a big hit that Nosta takes. Nieves, this team is a complete team. It's got it's got a player that can pop off in every slot, and that's why I think it's one of the better teams. They did take a bunch of hits last week. Carson Wentz struggled. Christian McCaffrey played badly when Cam Newton was struggling. James Conner got hurt, so we don't even know if he's going to play or get a full complement. And then Sammy Watkins disappeared, but Sammy Watkins was still targeted a lot. Kenny Golladay balled out, so I think the 2 of them will be fine. Evan Ingram continues to produce, although we have the new rookie QB that can throw a wild card in there. And Larry Fitzgerald seems to be Larry Fitzgerald of old. Of course, every year I fucking own him, he sucks. But when he's not on any of my teams, he looks like he's doing great. I gotta go with Nieves here. Ultimately, it's close. Could go either way, but I got to pick. And gun to my head. I forgot the huge storyline here.
The Danny Bowl. Hell yeah, it's a great storyline. But Kamish, you're right. This is very tough. This is a very tough matchup. I had to look at it once, twice, 3 times again. Just recently facing Nieves, I can tell what this team can do. We saw it week 1, and then what it can't do. And seeing what they're coming off of the week that he had. James Conner, I don't know what his game script's going to be with Mason Rudolph in the lineup. McCaffrey, I'm still concerned about what Cam Newton's going to be. The Panthers came out today and Cam Newton disclosed to them, hey, my ankle's not where it needs to be off that preseason injury. I'm not really getting the best footing on any throws. So that's going to definitely start packing the box on McCaffrey, and we can see what that does for him. So granted, I think Kenny Golladay is going to be a beast for Nieves, and I think he's going to do a good job. But whatever the Green Bay Matt LaFleur is saying, Aaron Jones is catching a stride, and he's only going to continue to do that. They're going to need their run game against Denver. So that was one of my big pushes here. I know David Johnson's going to ball out at home against Carolina. I mean, the guy's a warrior. He had his wrist injured, came back in. And again, I'm looking at the tight end position, and you nailed it. Daniel Jones is starting quarterback for the New York Giants. And Evan Ingram, maybe not. And typically tight ends are a favorite target of young quarterbacks, but George Kittle is that dude. And they're coming home. I mean, I said it already. San Francisco is coming home. And when I saw that, granted, Nosta wasn't aggressive with the receivers, and we don't know, he might just go after Demarcus Robinson because I do think that flex is a little weak. It's not, Larry Fitzgerald is better. Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle connection going home to San Francisco off of 2 good wins on the road against the Bengals and the Bucks, and they're coming all the way back on to play a Steelers team that is obviously down. I mean, San Francisco is like a shark smelling blood in the water, and I think that's a team that everyone should look at because they're going to ball out this weekend. And granted, anything can happen on Sunday, but I believe that San Francisco is going to do a good job, and that's what took me over the edge when it came to picking this game. I love it. I think it's great. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo leading this team after Breeze gets hurt is the perfect player for Nosta to bounce back. And it's going to be close, but I got Nosta. Nosta's going to win this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm picking the 49ers to cover. They got minus 6.5, I think.
I think
so what this means is, though, that Danny that you're saying that Danny Nieves has to be Danny number 2.
He's Danny number 2.
And Danny Nosta has to be Danny 1.
Hasn't he been Danny number 2? What's the history?
I believe. Yeah. I don't think he won the Danny Bowl last year.
No, he never won the Danny Bowl, yeah. I think it's been 2 years. Man. I think Danny 1 is Nosta, and Danny 1 continues being Danny 1.
Damn, dude. That's
why
can't even use your own name in the league.
That's why I started calling Nosta Danny and Danny Nieves. I'm fucking confused, but yeah, that's what I've been saying lately. Danny wins. I mean, who? Right. Danny wins.
All right, so you got Robinson and myself with Nieves and Eric and Doughboy with Nosta. Next up, it's the Matt Bowl.
Woo! Matt Bowl and Danny Bowl randomly at the same time. We only needed the Steve Bowl, but the Steve Bowl didn't happen, unfortunately.
Then we got the Asian Bowl too.
Only difference is that this game is a 2-0 versus a 1-1. The other one's a 1-1 versus an 0-2. So the Mats just carry more weight around here.
Yeah,
and with that said, way more. And with that said, let me kind of jump into this feature right here. All right. I love it. It's close. Eminem, it just hurts me to say that right now you're just missing a little bit of that fire. I love the San Francisco play. I do. I really love it. I said it earlier for Danny's team with Jimmy G. You got Mostert, you got Deebo Samuel, but I don't know what the drop-off is. There's an unknown there. It's Alvin Kamara having Teddy Bridgewater or Taysom Hill. I don't know who it is. There's a drop-off. Trust me, I'm feeling it too. And with Juju, there's a drop-off as well. I mean, granted, Mason looked his way a lot, gave him some good love in the game, but how do they adapt? How do they adapt to the new quarterback in Pittsburgh? It's been years. Juju was great. He was up and coming. And granted, it could be the Mason Rudolph Juju show for years if Mason can show what he can do. But when you look at the Commission's team and you have Dalvin Cook, I mean, that is, to me, the best running back in the league right now. I mean, he's showing it. He's coming off of injuries. Yeah. He's resilient. He's a damn good running back. He's a Miami boy, and I love that. And when you got Bobby Schmurda right there, Tyler Lockett's giving the output. They're going back home. They're going to play well after their East Coast road trip. Only glaring hole I see for you, Commish, is Curtis Samuel, again, based on what I just talked about in the last matchup with Cam Newton now on that hobble ankle that obviously hasn't gone away. And when we talked about the defensive pickups, we talk about the 2 top defenses that I've seen this year come out of nowhere. It's been the Bays, and I love having the Buccaneers defense there against the new quarterback fresh. Talk about smelling blood in the water. The Tampa Bay Bucks smell blood in the water, and they can see their season truly take a step above. Bruce Arians is going to have that squad ready to go. Todd Bowles, our main man, out there on the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's going to be ready to play. So when I look at all those little intangibles, right, and granted, another close matchup, but I look at all the intangibles, I am going with you, Kamish.
Yeah.
This is a big win. Granted, Eminem, it's the unknown for you, man. It's the unknown, and I love what the Kamish has top to bottom on the roster
Thank you.
and the matchups he's playing and what he's bringing to this game this weekend. So I got you, Kamish, winning.
Delicious. Good. Yeah, man. I have me. I think I have one of the better teams in the league this year, even though my points haven't shown it. Well, it's because I had a super underperforming QB. Where if I had normal QP output, I'd be over 110 each week. So I think I'm looking good in the rest of the body, and I've made it a change at QB. Matt Stafford, probably not the highest rated QB that I could play since it's Jameis Winston, but I'm not going to touch that fucking guy because that guy fucks your team up. You put Jameis Winston in, he's capable of putting up 4 points, and you cannot roll the dice on that. So Stafford it is. I'll take the middling points, and yeah, I don't know. Matt just has a lot of holes. He took a lot of hits. Kamara doesn't look as good, neither does Juju Smith-Schuster based on losing their QBs. And Royce Freeman is in his flex right now, which just yuck against Green Bay. Yuck. Unless he's going out there and going to get Demarcus Robinson too, which I don't know how he can afford it after paying up for Deebo Samuel. I don't know. He's got a few holes. His Vikings D pick though is good.
Doesn't this league have loans? Fab loans?
Bad loans.
Fab loans.
Fab loans. No. Oh, and also, by the way, Matt won the Matt Bowl last year, so I want revenge.
I think I've won it every year.
Was there more than I don't even remember the last Matt Bowl? Actually,
Eminem is the superior Matt.
Yeah, currently, I need to redeem myself.
Yeah, I've won it both years in a row, I think. Yeah, Eric went with Robinson for obvious reasons, but I'm obviously picking myself.
Wow, you're not Eric, huh?
What do you mean? Wait, I need some disclosure there. What are the obvious reasons?
Oh yeah, you want me to count them? It's like I'm starting Alvin Kamara without Drew Brees. I have Mustard as my second fucking running back. It's not even like
okay. So
the
same reasons I brought up. Okay, I thought they were
Juju Smith has Mason Rudolph throwing him the ball, but he did have his best game of the year with Mason Rudolph. Right, I'm starting Deebo Samuel, my wide receiver 2. I have a shining bright star in Mark Andrews, number 1 tight end at the moment, because Zach Ertz is old news. It's all about Mark Andrews. Let's see, Royce Freeman is in my flex spot. Like, that's enough said right there. I don't have to really argue anything about that.
Your kicker and your defense are solid.
Yeah,
Eminem, you can go against yourself. It's not.
He's not Eric though.
No, because you know what? This is the narrative that I'm going to play. They're going to lean hard on Alvin Kamara, right? They're just going to feed him the ball like crazy, little dink and dunks and fucking handoffs. Mustard's going to not repeat his performance, but get close to it. Juju's going to have his best game of the year. Deebo Samuel is going to be like another 10 points. Mark Andrews is going to continue being number 1. And Royce Freeman finally has his coming out party as the number 1 RB in Denver.
Oh, yeah. RB1. I love it. Free this man named Royce.
Can't even do it. You can't say it with a straight face. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I'm saying that with a straight face, looking you straight in the eyes if I could.
Royce,
Eminem, Joe Flacco walked into that front office and said, "Listen, guys, we won in Baltimore with a heavy run offense, all right? And Philip Lindsay isn't the heavy run type of running back. Royce Freeman is. That's what you're saying, right?"
And he was catching the ball too, man. He looked good out there. Like, it's not because he's my player. Like, it's just like he did look good, And then Philip Lindsay doesn't look the same. So I don't know. It's just I'm just really hoping and praying at this point.
Yeah.
That I just survive for the next 5 weeks.
I think you're onto something with the Denver backfield, because I do think that Lindsay was nice. He was a flash in the pan. I think he'll continue to have a consistent career there in Denver, but he's not going to be that number 1 running back that they think. And they will go to the draft if they have to soon.
Yeah. All right. Next up, it's everybody's favorite segment. It's the Boys Game of the Week!
Oh, yeah! You all love it, everybody. And guess what? We haven't talked about me. So guess who's going to talk about me? Me, the Double Boy. Battle of the undefeated squads. It's an early battle in the year for the stronghold of the Atlantic. Who will own the pond? Let's dive right into Doughboy versus Ben-Hur. All right, we got Dak against Miami, and this just isn't fair, everyone. And Matty Ice is going to Indianapolis, and that could be tricky for Matty Ice, but he does love to play in a dome, so I think I'll hedge. But Ben throwing some hot fire right on the damn oven. All my running backs, please be on the road, and sure they are for Ben and I. Jacobs is limping, and the Vikings won't be nice to him. Sorry, rookie. Saquon has a new backmate in Daniel Jones, but can they put up points in Tampa? Sure they can. It's Saquon. Have you seen those quads? Mushkin has. He gets us photos all the time about him. Cohen and Drake, for me, are on the road as well, but both offenses look like crap. Ben continues throwing fire my way. Oh, the dough. It might be rising, everyone. It might be making some. No, wideouts looked great. Then Bree said, see ya, 6 weeks, I'll be back. Keenan Allen is all by himself in L.A. Either way, the Doughboy says, I'm not ready to be bro yet. Slight advantage here for the Doughboy because I love my wideouts. Tight end, well, let's just say there's nothing consistent about this position this year. I just trust that the Eagles D is going to be more better against the Lions and the Giants D. So OJ gets off the blank sheet and lowers the dough just a bit. The yeast is lowering. It's not rising. Ridley, Edelman, oh man, just like last week, too much. I don't know who to feed in New England. There's not enough people there for Ridley. But the dough, let's go. Yes, it's going to be Ridley. Can Michelle hold on to the ball for you, Ben? Is he the back to own in New England? I don't know. But let's go, Ridley. He's the man. He's the top flex. The dough is coming back down to its original state. The Titans destroy Minshew. Yes, I know they will. That's my defense. Eagles get into a battle with Stafford because Stafford just knows how to battle. He's scrappy. And can anyone say, welcome back, Hashka, to the Dough Stars? He's back, my Nescac mate. This dough will not have enough fire to make bread. You got me, Ben? You will not throw enough fire to cook me up because the dough knows he's going to be 3-0. Woo!
Wow. That was a great story. Really good.
And you said I was delusional?
Yeah, I mean, this is, there's no way. We're all picking against you, all of us.
Again!
You are literally the lowest scoring team in the league, and you're 2-0.
I just don't understand it. Dude, last year, the same thing. Duval was like one of the lowest scoring teams until he made the trade for Zeke.
And he has no running backs. He's no running backs. They're atrocious. It's Kenyon Drake and Tariq Cohen, who both have been atrocious. He's got Ronald Jones on the bench and LaShawn McCoy on the bench. Well, McCoy's hurt, and Ronald Jones is... Well, actually, now that what I said, you probably want to play Ronald Jones because he might get like 15 carries this week, considering that Peyton Barber is starting in Carlson's lineup. So it's a thought.
Because of that, I'm going to play Ronald Jones.
It's a thought. You may want to go there. But I don't know what the fuck all these teams are doing sitting on their laurels when they got holes to fill. Like, I guess you didn't like Jalen Samuels because you shit on him. But, for $12, you haven't spent any fab. I mean, you could definitely use Jalen Samuels in over Jimmy fucking Graham. Like, you're starting OJ Howard yourself, so you're not ready to give up on him. I don't think Jimmy Graham's is a good like backup plan. You got to take more running back shots. You only got 2 on your bench. You're holding 2 QBs when you probably don't really need to be. Ben's gonna win. Ben may get cute. I think he's got Sterling Shepard in as wide receiver 1 for him right now. When DK Metcalf has been balling, like 7 or more targets, good for 10 to 13 points every week, and is, I think, ranked like a lot higher. So if maybe Ben will outsmart himself, but just the sheer, power of this squad should beat Chris's squad. But who knows? He's the lowest fucking scorer in the league, and he's 2-0. So
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah,
I love it.
Me and Eric and Robinson all win Ben because just I don't understand. It's a low scoring team and 2-0. That's all we have to say about that. Before I forget, tied for last place in the pick'ems, it's me and Eric with 3 picks. Tied for first place is Duval and Robinson with 4 picks.
Oh yeah,
it's a tight one so far. All right.
I can't hear you from all the way up here, Matt.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you today. Remember, you can always reach out to us at BDFL podcast@gmail.com or 786-309-4663. Catch you guys later.
And kick them nasty thoughts.
3-0. Hey, 3-0. 3-0. 3-0. Pod wins. I don't know.
This is the Justin that we all know and love because I
don't know what the beautiful mind is working on over there, but 2-1. He goes 2-1, sending Mushkin to 0-3.